Hello and welcome to another Modern Horizons 3 draft. I have done around 15 drafts by this video, and that means I know something about the format, but of course uh, I don't know it that deeply. For instance, I haven't really met or played with this reefworm more than once. My opponent had this. I had a pacifism type effect to get rid of it, so I don't really know how good this is. I don't think it's that amazing. There is exile bounce and a pacify aura that can make it not work. Cursed Wombat is good, but it is 2 colors. Titan's Vanguard is really good, but you usually have those 5 mana Eldrazi's. You don't have a shortage of them. This is one of the better ones. It has also Trample, but I think I usually prefer to start with a low drop. I could also start with something like a Cranial Ram and a Delegate Gargoyle. But I think I'm gonna start with the uncommon now. I could also take the Pyre Surfer actually for an aggressive deck, but I like this 2-3 adapt to with a very nice ability. There's a lot of ways in green and black to actually have +1/+1 counters. So it is definitely a strong card to just have on the battlefield, even if you don't use the 4 mana adaptability. You can have other means to get counters and you get bonuses as a result. Okay, this also is a good pack. I would. Well, there are definitely many cards you could consider with a and Bloom, Fanged Flames, Nightshade Dryad, Piratic Rebirth, nice 2-for-1 when you have something to return. Trickster's Elk is okay. You can enchant a large Eldrazi, and when it dies, you get a 3/3 creature back. Nixburn Hydra is fine. This is okay. Given what I picked first, I'm kind of tempted just to take the Wither and Bloom, but you could maybe take this and be more open. But this is also good to play on turn 2, and it's even in this format that you need to be doing stuff early. You cannot just not play spells until turn 3 or 4. You ideally start playing on turn 2. So I like to have this also as a kind of a 2-drop slot in your mana curve. But it is a card that has very good function at any point in the game. Also, it has a slight synergy with the Cursed Wombat if I end up in black-green in the end. Right, here I do like this thing in any black deck. Of course, it's better in black and white when you can benefit from the dual land feature of it. Horrific Assault is pretty good removal spell. I don't have any need to take the Warped Tusker right now. I don't know if I even care about 7 drops in this deck, if I'm just gonna be like black-green rather than an Eldrazi deck. I will take the Horrific Assault. This is fine card in decks that have a large artifact focus, but that pretty much limits your options to black and red most of the time. Okay, so now I have to make some decision about whether I want to stick to black and green, because this pack doesn't offer anything than a land for that archetype, and the Dross Claw, which I don't think, I think I like this in black and white and black and red, because those archetypes do benefit from this thing a lot more than black and green does. The Wheel of Potential is basically unplayable in limited. Phyrexian Ironworks is the best red card here, and this is an okay card. There is a Snapping Voidcraw if I want to go for the Eldrazi route. And there's of course the Riddlegate Gargoyle. If I'd first picked this, I could have just gotten another one here. I'm gonna stick to black-green for now. I'm taking the land. I like to have the mana fixing options here. Okay, so this pack has things for me. I have actually, at this point, I have some experience of this Gravedigg card, and I don't like it, mostly because the 2/2 token is kind of useless. It's mostly a little bit too expensive for what it does. If this was a 3 mana card, and I think in this set, which is a strong set also for limited, this could be like a 3 mana to Entwine. But anyway, I don't like that card that much. There's a green cards in here. I would take the 4/4 over the Menace Conniver, but there's also a Line Umbra if I really want to go kind of deep with the black-green stuff, and I think it's an interesting card to pick here. I assume to get those 4 drops later on. Alright, here the Kerrick, Son of Yawgmoth, is just horribly bad. I mean, it's a 7 mana 2/2 And even if you pay 6 life, you still have to pay 4 mana to make it to lifelinker, and of course the cost reduction isn't even gonna help that much. It's just for constructed. I think it has to be balanced for constructed because this cost is just horrible. Anyway, I have a very good card for this particular archetype here. The expanding ooze can just be a very efficient card. Add counters to your things, even itself. It basically attack as a 5/5 on turn 4 if you get to adapt it and the opponent doesn't have anything to interfere with it. Alright, how many Snapping Void Crows am I passing? I'm not gonna be any kind of an Eldrazi deck. I will try to be the green-black deck, and I'm gonna take the Accursed Marauder for that. That's a totally fine effect. I have found this to be quite good. Usually there's not non-token creatures that you don't mind the opponent sacrificing. I mean, usually you get 2 mana worth of value from this, and often better than that. This would be a splashing thing. I'm just taking 20 gems here. I don't look to splash to this kind of an archetype, so let's take 20 gems from a pack that doesn't have much to offer. Okay, the Gargoyle came back, so blue-white could have been a consideration, but Evolution Witness is a nice card, and this I can give more counters for more triggers also, apart from the adapt it enables itself, because I have the Wither and Bloom from the graveyard. I can add counters with the expanding ooze on it, so this can actually net multiple cards if the opponent doesn't deal with it. And I'm happy to get a very late Trickster's elf in here. Elk, I mean, not elf. That's that. Alright, and there's a Fetid Gargantua. This can get you any land, but I have no special lands to fetch. So, and it's very expensive to get, so it's not really very expensive to fetch, so it's not like a very good fixing land. Alright, no one is blue-white, but I take 20 gems because I'm not gonna pivot to anything else. I'm going to most likely be black-green. I don't know what would have to happen in pack 2 for me to ignore this path. I have multiple strong cards that require me to be main color black and green, so I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the archetype for this draft. Some pretty weak cards. Wow, last pick, Snapping Void Crow. That's not something you see often. Right. I'm starting to feel like I should be blue-white, because this is a really nice 2-drop, getting you energy, and of course the lifelink can matter too. But I like where this deck stands as well. Aether Revolt, incredibly strong card in energy decks. This can just win the game for you because it's not that hard. It doesn't have to be very open to get a nice amount of energy producing cards, and this can just basically eliminate wipe the opponent's board, especially if it's mostly small to medium-sized creatures. Anyway, it's not for me here. I could take the Horrific Assault Aberration. I don't have that many. You don't want to cast this without colorless mana, and I don't really have that many ways to produce colorless. I'm thinking just about taking the 2-drop here over the Horrific Assault. Yeah, I want to keep playing. I want to have a 2-drop in every game, so let's do that to make sure I can get there. And here, basically 3 options for me: Witness, Ooze, and the Landscape that helps me fix my mana, but the Ooze is the best one out of these. This is good because it nets you an actual card, but this is just the opponent basically has to remove it, because once this becomes like a 5/5 on turn 4, it's very hard to deal with this guy by blocking, so the opponent has to use some kind of card for it, and it is as a baseline 3 mana 3/3 and a very cheap adapt. So I like this card quite a lot more than even more than the Witness, which can be a clumsy in the sense that it's a 3 mana 2/1 before it does what you need it to do. Okay, I have nice options here. By the way, the Reiterating Bolt can be very good. I had one red-white deck that had it was blue-red deck that had very many ways of getting energy, and I was able to replicate this 3 times by having like 10 energy, and I just wiped the opponent's board with this thing. This can be really good. Alright, I think I'll take the Dryad over the other options. I like it is a Death Toucher. It fixes your mana and accelerates you 2-drop. I like that. Bridgeworks, Battle. I was almost taking this, and then I saw another Cursed Wombat. Oh boy, this is actually a difficult decision here. Both cards are great. This is great because it is a land and a removal spell when you don't need a land. These are very valuable effects, especially when the spell side is good and is very good. And in this case, it is a very good. It's not just a random playable. This is an actual good spell you want to have in your deck, and then you can play it as a land if you have mana issues. But this is such a nice one here. I'm actually taking the cursed one, but now I'm really going with the +1/+1 counter theme here, and I'm very happy to have something like a Gift of the Viper if it comes back, because I really can benefit from those +1/+1 counters. Here I take another copy of the Horrific Assault. I have potentially some big creatures that can, make me deal a lot of damage with this thing. There's nothing else really to consider except for this landscape, but I have one mana fixing land. I think I will have a pretty decent mana anyway, thanks to just having this 2-color deck in here. And now, am I gonna take the Uzbek or the Elk? And the answer is, I take the 4-drop. It is good for my mana curve, and this is of course very fantastic for my theme of the deck. I will have a lot of modified creatures. They will be having trample, and this is not a card I'm even interested in having in this deck. Witness, okay, only option for me. I'm very happy to have it here. This is, in a long time, a pack that doesn't have anything too interesting for me. You need colorless mana to really do anything with this thing, and I don't have that really. The Rumble is not even a card I'm interested in having, but I guess I could take it. I don't think I'm gonna run out of playables. Okay, that would be a third one. I'm getting past late. Also, a lot of these getting past late. But I'm happy about the Gift of the Viper. It's a very nice 1-mana card that has multiple purposes. And the fact I care about +1/+1 counters in this deck, it's even better. Monstrous Vortex. I won't be casting any creature spells with power 5 of Greater, but I'm not really caring about Buried Alive too. I'm taking a random uncommon here. There's nothing I can play in that pack. Okay, Fangs of Calonia and a Dream Drinker Vampire. I have 12 creatures, 5 non-creatures. I could actually have this. I like the 2-drop, but I'm actually trying the Fangs of Calonia. I have a lot of 2-drops, I don't actually even need... What happened there? Alright. How many instant or flash spells? I have not a lot. Okay, I'm taking another Gift of the Viper here. That was a land spell, but the spell side of that card is not very amazing. It's very expensive to pay 4 mana to fetch an instant or a flash thing. Okay, a little bit disappointing pack to open, but there's still a fine card for me. The Uzbek will be here. How many black cards, by the way? I realized I have a lot more green than black, but of course with all the 2-drop black cards, I'm definitely treating black as an equal kind of a main color as green is. So I'm taking this because I don't mind having the 4-drop. Mana curve starts to look pretty good, and yes, I have a lot of 2-drops here. Well, not a lot of, but enough of them definitely to not worry about them too much. Morg Mob. I had actually one deck that had 3 Morg Mobs, and it was a mostly red deck, but it had some blue cards too. But I had enough mana sources that almost always I had 3 red mana by turn 3. It was a fun one to have around. Okay, I'll take the Apprentice. There's nothing wrong with that. A 2 mana 2/3 or a 1/2 plus a 1/1, and then of course there's the passive ability, or the triggered ability that's just passive on the battlefield, making the opponent lose life here and there. It's quite nice. I have a couple of 4-drops already, so the sentry isn't that important. I'm not going to play any 7-drops here, so yeah, easy pick here. And Mindless Conscription. I don't think I'm gonna draw 3 cards that many times, but what I am going to do is I'm gonna pick a 3rd copy of an Expanding Ooze. Victimize can work in decks that have those big Eldrazi cyclers that I have passed many times now. It's actually pretty nice with the Victimize, because you can also sacrifice an Eldrazi spawn as the kind of additional cost, and then of course you can get a lot of tempo by getting expensive creatures from the graveyard you have cycled earlier. Anyway, not for this deck. For this deck, the Expanding Ooze is easy pick. Okay, I got another Bridgeworks battle. I had a an option to pick it earlier, but I chose to take another copy of a Cursed Wombat. Now I'm very happy to have this here. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be better than the Hydra or whatever this pack has to offer. Another Horrific Assault, but also a 2-drop. I have 3 Horrific Assaults. Creature count 15, non-creature 8. So I guess I could take either a creature or removal based on my, creature and non-creature count. This is pretty, average for both, so I don't need particularly either of those. So do I want to have 1, 2, 3? I know time is running out. I guess I'll just make sure I have a 2-drop play available in most games. So I'm gonna take the 2-drop rather than the bite spell. Coming of Jealous Thirst. Sure. I am actually having enough playables. I mean, the only option is to pick 20 gems, of course, but this can be a good card. If I don't main deck it, at least a sideboard card against some of the Eldrazi decks that, you can just have a Death Toucher that blocks most of their things. Look at this. I'm still getting a Horrific Assault and a Dream Drink, a Vampire. I think at this point I'm just taking the land to make my mana better. I have black-green 2-drops, so I want to have both mana always. And I have only one of these mana fixing lands, so I might as well pick another one because I have enough. I don't really need to cut anything from the deck, so these are just the extra cards I don't particularly need. The land helps me, fix my mana. Oh, this is actually one of the rare cases when this card could maybe be played. It does add only colorless, but I have a couple of mana fixing. The activation is only sorcery, but it's still something you might want to do at some point. I think this might be a card I'm playing. Alright. Sure, let's take the Sentry. And I'm not taking another Sentry. I mean, I have already, 26 spells here. I'm taking 20 gems. I have 3 4-drops now. If I don't cut these, I mean, it's possible I'm gonna cut the first Sentry, but I won't be playing 2, so it's a good spot to play. Pick a 20 gems card. Alright, I'm actually putting that to sideboard, and I'm also cutting the first Kami of Jealous Thirst because I have a bunch of 3s. I don't really need the Death Toucher for curve reasons. I have 2 land spells in here. That's the first one. No, I had only 1 actually. Alright. Well, I'm getting all the Kamis here. I don't think I'm gonna play 3 in any game, but who knows? Maybe there's a weird game where I feel like I wanna have these at multiple copies. Alright, so okay, let's finish off the draft before figuring out how the deck's gonna look like. "25 spells," not that I, kind of pre-cut one of the Kami of Jealous Thirst, and I also chose not to play the Malevolent Rumble. So mana curve wise this looks quite nice. The creature curve is a nice, mostly 2s, then 3s and a few late game things. Of course, in a deck that has a lot of adapt abilities, you will have use for your mana later on too. I mean, there's a couple of 4 adapters, 3 that adapt for 2. These things adapt for 3. These for 2. So and there's also these things. So I definitely can get something to do with my mana even in the games where I'm slightly flooding out. But now, yeah, there's only 1 land spell, because usually what I do in decks that are not going to have like a very high mana curve, I'm usually in those decks just taking the first land spell card as a I'm considering this as my 17th land, because even though this is one of the cards that you usually want to play as cast as the spell, not as the play as the land, I can think that this deck is actually, given the mana curve, can survive even with 16 lands. In a sense, of course, whenever I have this in my hand, I can treat it as a 17th land, but I don't think I need a 17 lands in addition to this Bridgeworks thing. So, but I'm also not playing a total of 16, including this. I will play 16 other lands and then the Bridgeworks battle, which means I'm going to cut exactly 1 card. Let's check out the creature curve. For 2 drops, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. That 7 is a nice amount. I have also basically 3 in the 3-drop slot. I have 5 creatures I can just play on turn 3. The Trickster's Elk you don't want to play as a 3/3 unless you just need to put some board presence. But there's a lot of those Eldrazi decks that have big Eldrazi, and shrinking their guy into a 3/3 can be valuable. And of course you can bestow your own thing. I could see having a mana curve where I'm gonna play a Marionette Apprentice on turn 2, get the 1/1 out of the Fabricate ability, and then of course I can bestow this on my own thing too. The 1/1 becomes a 3/3, and when it dies, I'll still have my Elk remaining. That's definitely something I can consider. I can also kind of like enhance the Evolution Witness. Once you adapt this, it will be a 4/3, but of course the counter will persist. I can bestow it. It will become a 5/5 with the Elk. So this has other uses than just putting on opponent's things. So I'm gonna want to have this in here. But of course I am going to cut a card, and I actually like all the creatures, even the one of Fetid Gargantua as the only card that costs more than 4 mana in the deck. I like to have it as a curve topper, and of course I can do just like with everything else that has these +1/+1 counter triggers that work once with their own adaptability. I can add more counters to them, and then I can if I have the life, I can actually keep drawing extra cards from this thing too. So I like that. That's also the reason I'm actually not going to cut a Gift of the Viper. I mean, it seems like it's the first thing to cut, but I really like how I can trigger kind of get surprise triggers with the Evolution Witness, and of course also from the Fetid Gargantua. And it is also 2 +1/+1 counters when this thing is one of these things is on the battlefield. Oh well, if both of them are, it's 3. So I really like the synergy here. But I also don't want to cut my few removal spells, the Horrific Assault, the Withered Bloom. The Lion Umbra is going to be good in here as well. Fangs of Calonia. I think I could see cutting this. Now it is also adding a counter, but it is 2 mana and a sorcery. Whereas this is instant and 1 mana and has other things too there. Because this is of course, you would play this card mostly because it's a very nice 6 mana option, but in some matchups the opponent kills your things or the creatures just naturally trade. And when you have like 2 creatures on the battlefield, this is not such an amazing one. So I think this is like the kind of card that can be only situationally good. And that's the reason I'm going to cut it from the main deck. It's something I can sideboard in if I'm fairly certain that there will be a white board developing during a game, and then I can sideboard it in and not play. I can cut something from here, but this is the kind of main deck configuration I'm happy about. I'll just add the lands, these 2 fixers, and I think the Nesting Grounds is going to be worth playing despite it making my mana worse with no colored mana production, and I don't even need colorless production for anything. But this is also one way to trigger, stuff like the Evolution Witness and Gargantua and all that. And also it will work with the Cursed Wombat, because even if this says that move a counter from target permanent, basically what is happening, you still are going to put counters on a permanent, so you can actually multiply these counters when the Cursed Wombat is on the battlefield, or at least that's something I'm very, like 98% sure about. Moving means you remove from somewhere and put on somewhere else. I'm pretty sure it will work well with the Cursed Wombats. So I'm gonna play that. And this leaves me with 13 basic lands, and the Bridgeworks Battle is a green card. I have, in the end, pretty even amount of green and black, and my double caster requirements are pretty much none apart from the Lion Umbra. So I don't need to kind of favor either of these colors. So if I add 1 swamp to have like a kind of an even amount, now I have 1 swamp and this producing green, I then 6 times 2, so 12 lands to add. So if I just put 6 swamps and Wait a minute. Did I miscount? No. This is good now. So with the Bridgeworks battle counting as a green producing land, I actually have 7+7 and then of course a couple of these twisted landscapes. Having basically like a 99 mana base. Mana should work here quite easily. And that is the deck. On the play, no 2-drop, but there is kind of a 2-drop if the opponent presents a target. I do have both colors, and I have this good 3-drop here, so of course this is an easy keep. I'm just gonna get the forest right away. There's like very little benefit from waiting until the opponent's end of turn. I'd just rather, you know, make the game go smoother. If this was like an arena open or something, maybe I would be more, you know, strict with the using of those fetch lands. Okay, so blue is, and this is gonna be a green. Alright, well there's something I really want to get rid of immediately. So basically I had a 2-drop now, and now you will see if this will survive. I can adapt, and you know, it will be a 5/5 once it adds a counter to itself. If the opponent is just gonna... Okay, well, no problem. And this is pretty fantastic. Oh. Am I even gonna... Well, what I'm gonna definitely do, I'm gonna get rid of this thing. It has death touch, so it can even trade. But I also don't want the opponent to have mana for it. Yeah, let's use mana optimally here. I can just attack with a 3/3. Actually, because I did draw forest, swamp, I can adapt both of these on the next turn, and this will be both like 5/5s, or if I want to, the other will be a 6/6 and a 4/4, although I don't think that makes much sense. Okay, also white mana. Okay. This is I can't speak all of a sudden. Now I was trying to say that these things represent a 2-turn clock if the opponent doesn't interfere, and interfering with blockers, unless they have death touch like these things, is not gonna be easy. Okay, so Uther's Significance loses all abilities, base power, and toughness 1/1. By the way, this is not modified, because a modification means if it has an aura, it has to be controlled by you. So the opponent's auras don't modify your creatures for you. Well, I'm definitely adapting this thing, and I'm just playing the Witness here. They need colorless mana to actually exile it. In the meanwhile, I can just you know, attack it, being a 1/1. This thing has flash, but they chose to play it on their turn anyway, I guess. Yeah, well, of course, because otherwise I could have adapted and it would have gotten a counter. So I don't have anything else than a land that I don't need in the graveyard, so I don't think the Evolution Witness is going to be needed right now. Okay, so the opponent might start playing some big Eldrazi, but... well, I guess I'm gonna take my land. Because if they block the Witness, well... should I put the Wither and Bloom on something too? They have now colorless mana. I was actually thinking about just putting it here, kind of spreading the lava a little bit. But... yeah, if I had more permanents to return than the one land, I actually... oh, but I will have. Okay, let's actually do it. Yeah, because I can do this pre-combat, of course. Get the land. At least, if nothing else, I'm gonna thin my deck. So do this, and crack this. Yeah, this took a little bit more time than it was supposed to take, but hey, I realized it, because now I can, of course, do just like this, and I'm gonna get the land back. Sweet. I didn't do this on purpose, because I don't know which is the optimal target for that thing yet. It would have represented 1 extra damage here, but I'm not sure if that's gonna matter. So I want to wait. Because, for instance, I can put a counter on the Evolution Witness using the Wither and Bloom, and of course in that case it can bring back something from the graveyard. Alright. This was actually a good showcase of, well, I guess of two things. First of all, these things can really work nicely in conjunction, and also since I had my removal, the opponent wasn't able to. The other thing is that it's easy to win with this kind of stuff if the opponent can't really put up a fight, and they kind of were able to do it with 2 Death Touchers. I just happened to draw my scarce removals to deal with them both, because I don't have that much removal. I still managed to draw them. So here they're like band colored. I'm assuming some Eldrazi business because they have the transformer. This is playable in kind of any archetype though. So I'm not sure. So I mean, with these things, I would assume they have some green or blue Eldrazi too. I'm mostly thinking if I want to have these Death Touchers in the deck. But I did see so little from their deck that I'm actually not gonna change anything, because mostly because I just like how the main deck looks like. I guess something like a Skrille's Sentry could be cut, but even I'm not gonna put a Kami right now. I will see what they're gonna play in the next game, maybe. Okay, 2-drop. Couple of options even. Yeah, and of course mana is great when you have 3 lands, both colors. That's all you pretty much need when you play 2 colors. You can put a counter on your opponent's creatures, so that's why I played the swamp, so that the game doesn't pause and kind of give the opponent information of that I have a 1 mana green effect. Alright, so this is a 2/3. Adapt cost is 4. Whatever I'm doing on the next turn, it's not going to be adapting any of these. So I'm going to play the 2/3 because this is more likely to be able to, you know, go through. This might be just blocked by the Harvester. I know I can give it menace, but for that to happen, I would need to actually. Okay. You know, to use 2 mana for it. So a couple of things. I could just hope they block with the Snapping Voidcraw, and then I can use the Gift of the Viper. But there's a good chance they won't do that, and I definitely don't want to give them access to all that mana. So I'm just gonna use this here right now. And another thing why I maybe don't want to use this +1/+1 counter right now on the Wombat is that then the adaptability won't do anything. I still want to, you know, this basically becomes a 5/6 because the adapt is 2, but it will trigger from its own ability, so it will get 3 counters. And if the opponent like taps out on something, I can just use 4 mana to have a 5/6, which will present a nice clock. Okay, they have the Royal Cartographer. This seems like a pretty good card in decks that have a lot of energy production. Because you're drawing 3 cards without, you know, okay, that's so much of my racing plans. I think the Death Toucher did it already. Without paying any mana to just draw 3 cards, that's huge. But of course, getting 6 energy can be problematic sometimes. Alright, so I could actually elk this thing because this is both of these set the power toughness on something. Both of them also make it lose abilities. Then by the timestamp that elk would kind of prevail there. And that said, I'm just going to get rid of the Dryad here and play my Vampire. And attack for 1. Yeah, they can still exile the enchanted creature, but of course if the elk would be on it, then the elk would just become a regular creature, so it wouldn't be like the worst idea ever. I do need to draw some non-lands, because I don't think these things are gonna be enough to win the game. It depends on what the opponent is gonna have here. Repurposer. Okay, that's the 3/3 that creates a friend. Okay. So yeah, this becomes a 3-2, and then even if I use the gift here, well, I mean, I guess I can kind of. I mean, I can do this. Yeah, but this is a little. I guess this is the best way for me to do something in this game, because I assume they will now double block this thing, and then of course I have the gift of the Viper, which will make this have 4 toughness, and they will lose their things, and I won't lose. I won't be losing anything. I don't want to put all the eggs in the same basket, so to say, but I don't have that great stuff here going on. They have 2 mana. Please don't have anything that... Don't think there's anything that... There is a 1 colorless costing spell that deals with multicolored permanents, but not with single colored permanents. Alright, so that kind of worked, but I used some good stuff for it to happen. I guess I have a 5/4 Death Touch Lifelinker for what it's worth. They have a Chump-blocker though. They have now the ability to just exile the wombat with the other significance. Transformer doesn't apply anything to the board. This has no Death Touch counter also. Oh, that is going to trade with anything. So they might just go with Chump Block the Vampire. Oh, they actually are going to need the mana for something. Well, I can reduce the size of some of their creatures with the Elk, of course. So if it's one big thing, depends on the cast trigger, of course. The Eldrazi have some cast triggers, of course. Okay, another Dryad. Fine. Don't like it, but it is what it is. Sentry. Alright. So I don't think I'm necessarily wanting to trade. Well, I have 6 mana because this taps for mana, so I can actually just... Let's do this now. I know I could play this pre-combat to have more information, but I also think I don't want the opponent to know about it. Now, this thing has menace. I'm not going to attack with this 5/4. It's not a great idea to trade with the Dryad, but now they would have to block this with 2 things in order to trade with it. And here I have to connive, so whatever I draw, I'm gonna have to discard that or the Elk. And I don't really feel like discarding the Elk, but we'll see what I draw. Oh, this is a tough one. Because this thing actually refuels, but... I guess this thing has Death Touch. So if they have to tap this for mana to play something big... I really like the Elk reducing the size of some of the creatures, but this is gonna draw me 2 cards. I'm going to get rid of the Elk. It won't draw me the cards on the next turn, but assuming it survives, I can refill with that thing. And of course any other effect that adds counters to my stuff. Okay. Exile target permanent, that's alright. So they had a very relevant cast trigger. This is a rare, so I wasn't playing around with that. Okay. I can do some things with the nesting grounds actually. I'm just thinking if I really care to bother. Actually, I do have mana to play this and use the nesting grounds. So, what is the best course of action here? Okay, so this doesn't do anything going forward. Yeah, I have a couple of... This can have menace again by using the nesting grounds. However... Oh, actually, I just realized what I'm supposed to do here. Okay, I was a little bit fool, but I got it in the end. Move a counter from this thing to this thing. So this can adapt again, and this will draw me some cards now. I didn't realize that's a thing I can do. Well, that's a good set of things, but if I attack with the sentry, they'll just block with the 6/6 and the 0/1. That's not really worth it. So no attacks for now. As long as they don't get more life, I can still threaten them quite a bit with my menace attackers. For example, this is 3 power menace. This is gonna be a 3 power menace whenever I want it to. So that's gonna mean that they are gonna have to be really careful about blocks. Okay. I mean, I can take the 6. I can of course keep drawing cards with the Gargantua. This is actually the nesting grounds doing some real nice work here. Okay, well, talking about nice work. Okay, I have plenty of things. This cannot be returned, it's a sorcery. This thing only returns permanents. So the only thing I can get is the elk. I can decrease the size of this thing. However, yeah, the Death Toucher is annoying for sure. I'm just going to draw some cards, right? How do I do it? I do it by getting the elk back. The opponent is gonna get a board state in here. So I'm gonna move a counter from the witness into the Gargantua. Get some cards. Ideally, maybe land. No land, but the horrific assault will be quite decent. Okay, Lion Umbra will be good too. There's no point attacking into the 6/6 and the Death Toucher, so this is gonna be now a kind of me building up a board presence, and I can of course do with the combination and with the cards in hand I have, but they of course can just have multiple turns with big plays. They had this thing, and then they had this Dread Mask. Of course they can move the Dread Mask around, make a 12/12 thing. I don't have a Death Toucher right now. It would be quite valuable with the Horrific Assault. Oh, sorry, I forgot the Dryad. It was tapped. Alright, so I can actually deal with the water very easily using the Death Toucher and the Horrific Assault. Okay, they use their energy to loot, getting rid of some extra lands. They have 2 cards, total of 7, actually 8 mana, because they have both of these. But I'm at a healthy life total, and if they attack with the Devourer, yeah, I can't keep taking the damage, but of course the opponent can't really just keep, leaving a low amount of blockers. The problem, of course, is I don't know what they have in their hand, and they might have some instant speed interaction, for instance, that allows them to attack with a couple of big guys and still have a, interaction to prevent my crackback. How do you say it? Okay, they are thinking, so they have options definitely, or maybe they're just thinking if it's worth for them to re-equip the Dreadmaw. I don't think it's that great of an idea, because then they lose the Germ token, which is now just an additional 6/6 on the battlefield. I really don't want to trade with the Germ token, because it is, just a 0/0, of course. But let's see what they do. So they're gonna go for that. If I knew for certain that they do not have anything, I wouldn't mind trading. But I think I'm going to put the Gargantua. The thing is, I do have the Trickster's Elk, which can decrease the size of this creature quite significantly, actually. But I I also don't want to go to 13 when they have this colossal dread mask here. Now, I know they might have a trick that saves this, but it's not even such a big deal. I guess why have such a... Yeah, I'm not gonna be greedy. I'm gonna offer this thing. If they have a trick to save their thing, then so be it. I just hope that they run out of their cards and then I can start. Okay, they had a horrific assault. They could have done that... No, they had an Eldrazi, sorry. I thought they are not gonna gain 3 life, but of course this thing is an Eldrazi. So they got rid of my, you know, both my card advantage machines. But that was because I blocked. But they have an empty hand right now. I'm gonna do this, and I feel like I am going to... I'm gonna use now the horrific assault. I kinda have to enable an attack for myself. And Lion Umbra is another option I could do. I can use this for a green, of course. I was thinking about the expanding ooze, but the Umbra might actually be quite... That kind of forces them to double block with the Dryad and the O1 here. That's really good because they can move this thing around. Alright, let's do it. On the lifelinker, why not? This is 9 damage, and both of these have menace, so yeah, this is gonna make sense. They will lose both the Death Toucher and that. Okay, don't need for another counter here, so I'm gonna just put the Twisted Landscape away. Horrific Assault, of course, is pretty good here. So this is gonna mean that this vampire will survive here, because the Umbra will fall off. And then I can just move the counter from the vampire to... I guess the sentry can get it again. This is showing how the nesting grounds can really do some work here, because now I can again adapt to this thing. And I don't care about them being able to make this into a 8-7. That's actually... I mean, I have 2 menace attackers with total power of at least 6. This will be 3 power menace. This will be 4 power menace. Maybe 5 if I, connive into something. So did they... Okay, they're just looting. That means they are very desperate. They had a land in hand and yeah. Alright. Nesting grounds. Seemed very good. Very good indeed here. That was actually very much key in here. Triggering the Gargantua witness and just allowing me to keep adapting this thing. A shame. Can't keep these. Would be a very nice hand if, any of these 6 spells would be a swamp. It would be a snap keep. And this is a fine one to have. I don't need this when I have this as a green source if I truly need it. 2-drop removal. Another removal, because with these 3 lands it's quite unlikely that I would be needing this as a land. The only double caster green card is the Umbra thing. Okay, I don't need all these swamps. They didn't have removal on the vampire, so maybe I can... Okay, I am going to not adapt it right now, because I might want to use the Wither and Bloom instead. I know I lost 1 point of damage, but it would be more mana efficient if they have some... Okay, forget about that. Good old Eldrazi business there. I don't think the menace is gonna matter, so I'm gonna just make this. Just use my mana this way. Maybe I draw a 4-drop or something. And I did. Okay, let's not give them any information. They can now jump block with 1, but I'm pretty sure because these tap for mana now, they are not going to block at all. So they have 5 cards. How many expensive Eldrazi they have? They can have 7 mana on the next turn. Right. Pretty sure I'm just gonna discard lands for this thing. The size increasing isn't gonna be as valuable as any spell that I might have here. Alright, moment of truth. Am I gonna just... Is my attack gonna halt because they have a huge thing now? That's easily gonna happen. They actually can have a 9 mana thing too. They can tap these for mana and then sack for, for another mana. So this is total of 9 mana they have available. That is not of concern. And neither is that. Okay, well that was pretty good for me. And I drew a very good card. So the Knight Sage Drive is gonna trade with the Vampire, which is totally fine. And I guess I'm just gonna... Now they do have mana up. This can tap for any color and they can sack this. So they have basically 3 mana. That means they can adapt this. This is a 6/6. Let's not make a mistake about that. However, I do have my Wither and Blue. And they would have to sack both of these. It is valuable to do that. To make them do that. Because my idea here is to use the Bridgeworks battle on the sentry trying to beat the Uzbek. Now if they're gonna adapt it, I can -3/-3 it in response. So the outcome will still be good for me. And they will have to sack both of these spawns for that. So let's try. It is quite tempting. I assume they are gonna try it. They adapt. It is gonna highlight for them, so even if they don't realize it otherwise, they know they can do the adaptation there. Of course they might have a spell to save it too, but with the Wither and Bloom I'm not too worried. Haha, this worked. So it's gonna be a 6/6, but actually it's gonna be a 3/3 now. And this fight will work. They have lost a bunch of their stuff and I can attack for a bunch as well, and they can trade with the Vampire if they want to. Now, yeah, I'll keep my spells. This dealing 4 is good enough here. Whenever they cast a 7 mana creature spell or higher or greater mana cost, mana value, they gain life. So they can get life here, but at least they now lost their mana producers. They have now 6/7 with a land drop, but they did not have a 7 mana spell on the previous turn, so are they gonna have it now? They chose not to trade with the Vampire, which means that they are interested in having it around for... But there could be many reasons. For instance, they might have a the bite spell, or they might just have a 7 mana spell they want to cast now, or 2 spells or 3 spells with total of 7 cost. Because they did take 3 damage there instead of trading here. And it's not like they can trade with the sentry because it has menace. I can also make this have menace too by using the Wither and Bloom now again on it. Nyxbone Hydra, that's only a 6/7, it's still expensive, I mean big one, but no, it's only a 1 creature, which means that they cannot block here. Yep. They cannot block because I'm going to go for this. This will trigger with a menace ability again. Alright, that's gonna be a good one. The Apprentice is going to give me... Yeah, I don't need the land here. And I know I could use the lands, but all the spells in my hand are good. So I can play this instead of the Witness. And I will make now another 1/1. Because every creature I have that dies makes them lose life. So let's see if they're gonna get 7 life. They did get 7 life now from this thing, because this mana value will be 7 on the stack, of course. Alright, well that's not an Eldrazi card at all, but I guess it's like a red-green deck, not necessarily an Eldrazi deck. I have 32 life here. The life linker has done some work too. Alright. Well, I've been able to discard my extra land, so that's why I can get all these spells here. And I can function pretty well with 5 mana, so what to do here? Gift of the Viper is an option. It's a really good one on a menace guy. So I think I'm just gonna go with the sentry. And they will be double blocking with the Hydra and the Gatekeeper, for instance. If I'm lucky. And then they will lose both because of the death touch here. I will lose my sentry, but that's something I can live with. Yeah, I think this turn I'm gonna hold back the Vampire. Attacking with that into the 6-7 is still something I could do because I can give this thing death touch, but that's much more valuable thing to achieve by, you know, combining death touch and menace. Here I'm actually gonna give it a counter. Because I have to, you know, but I'm just figuring out if it's just gonna be the second copy of an ooze. Yeah, it is. The evolution witness can give me stuff back. Okay, now assuming they have nothing in their hand, this is gonna be pretty fantastic. But they are going to have something. Signature Slam. Well, it's a shame, but now they are top decking at least. And I think here is better to just play the ooze. I'd rather play this so that I have the adapt mana up immediately. Now they are top decking, so hopefully they don't get like a 7-drop. That gives them 4 life. Okay, so they have to keep everything back because with the Marionette Apprentice, they are having a very low life total right now. All the rest of the 3 of my guys, when they die, they basically go to 2, so they cannot afford to take any more damage from attacks than 1. But sadly, they have the 6-7 here still. Which means that I'm just going to actually... Yeah, I mean, they got 2 blockers. I don't like that either. I'm gonna activate these and I'm gonna get more stuff here. I just need to build a bigger board state here and then conniving or expanding. I like the menace here. I'll take the menace guy. So if I have 5 other creatures, I can just attack with all of them and they will lose. Assuming they don't get the 4 life. I really hope they don't get 4 life, because that would make things a lot more complicated. Okay, Trickster's Elk is not really good. It would only make this to be a 9-9. That said, it wouldn't have reach, but of course I have no flyers here. So yeah, pretty easily just go for this. And then on the next turn I can attack with everything, except for the Apprentice. The land isn't gonna really benefit me that much, so let's keep all the gas in here. Now, if they have an instant speed removal on the Apprentice, I will be in big trouble. They already had an instant speed for the Signature Slam, kind of foiling my plans there. But... oh, this is it. I have a win here, because I can attack with everything, you know, whether they... well, no, actually I wasn't exactly right, because they can block things so that they don't die. But every creature that dies... but this actually has menace, so they can't even block this. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I am going to go for it. Isn't that the correct way of doing it? I can also give a counter to this thing, so it will trigger the menace. I'm figuring if I should put Elk on the 1-1. I mean, basically, I might as well do it. Although this is good to decrease some of their creature size. But a single big creature isn't gonna matter, isn't it? Okay. Bestow on here, and the only thing is that if they have an instant speed kill on the apprentice, this attack is still like okay, but definitely not a winning attack. Two guys with menace. Everything that dies on my side will make them lose life. I have the Gargantua for a refill. Of course, I'm at 30 right now, so I'm not dying immediately. They have something, but they chose to kill that thing instead. So do they also have a kill on the apprentice? I don't know, by the way, maybe they had to do that, I don't know, but now the thing is that if the apprentice still is alive, do I want to make this into a 3-4? It's actually not gonna matter, right? Not gonna matter much. I'll just keep my stuff. Oh, just hope now that, because I don't think they're gonna die now. I'm gonna lose something here, but also that they can eat this 1/1, but it's just gonna become a 3/3 elk, of course. They have to block the sentry with 2 things, so I get to eat the Dryad anyway. So this is fine. This is fine. Am I gonna lose all my guys? No, I will not lose all my guys. Okay, please don't kill the apprentice. Okay, so the cycling, so don't be a kill spell on the apprentice. Okay, it wasn't. So they are now at 1, I think. They are now at 1. Yes. Just don't have it for life gain. They had once. They had from the Hydra they got 4 life. Now I just hope. They do have, 9 power here, so if they can somehow stabilize. Okay, that lost its abilities, sure. So if they can stabilize now, that of course means that it doesn't take that much time for them to beat me. Anyhow, I'm just gonna do this, of course. I can adapt it. Attacks aren't good here, thanks to them having the large enough creatures there. Okay, don't tap. Okay, Glimpse the Impossible is gonna give them... Alright, 2 lands. These are gonna transform into the Eldrazi spawns, and then they can kill... Oh, the Gargantua, jeez. Okay, well, this is what I was saying. They're gonna stabilize at 1 life. They had even the... They absolutely needed to have an answer on the apprentice, and they did. And now I'm gonna be in trouble. They gained 3 life from the horrific assault too, so I'm actually starting to feel like... Okay, with that, I'm feeling better. But I'm starting to get desperate here. Getting the other witness back. I really wish they did not gain the 3 life from this thing, because if they were only at 1, I could just suicide the apprentice and bring it back. But now that they are at 4, it doesn't make that much sense. Okay, let's get the other witness back. I have 21 minutes left. I also need to start playing faster. Because this might be a long game. I mean, they were at 1, and they had, they had what they needed to prevent my attacks from being lethal. And now if they get a 7 mana spell, I don't know, I had to rebuild in a very different manner in that case. Gift of the Viper is definitely good. It's very good with trample. So I am thinking that should probably go for the Oozewag rather than the other witness. Okay. They haven't cast anything. I really hope they don't have all instant speed stuff there either, because it makes my attacks, of course, more difficult to benefit, especially because I have instant speed tricks of my own. Oh, come on. Just gain. Okay, they're back to 20. This has Annihilator 2, right? It has protection, award, hexproof from each color. Sure, so that's it. All the work I did is now totally nonsense because they are back to 18. So I'm gonna sack a couple of permanents. Alright, alright. Back to 18. Well, I guess I'm going to attack with the Oozewag. Let's see what they do. It will be a 7/7 if they only block with this Hydra, for instance. It would be great. And of course, if they still have an instant in their hand, I'm just gonna hate it. I don't mind if they block with that thing because it has Annihilator too. They should block with the Gatekeeper and the Hydra. Or maybe not, because if I give it Death Touch, they both die. But now the point is, the Oozewag will survive and it will trample over a lot of damage. But let's see. I'm pretty much done if they still have instant speed stuff to respond with. Do they? I can trample over 6 now because Death Touch and trample is nice. Alright, that was great. And I'm just going to... Guess I'm gonna thin my deck. Let's get a forest. I will sacrifice, of course, something, but might actually remember this. One of the elks is there, so I don't wanna sacrifice the apprentice necessarily. But I can sacrifice my servo if I want to, and one land. Okay, they don't even want to attack. Now this of course has a Death Touch counter, so it continues having Death Touch. I can move, okay, I can do the stuff with... Alright, the nesting grounds with the evolution witness, I think that should make it work very nicely now. So let's start with this. Move a counter from this thing. I can also move the Death Touch counter, but that is not actually gonna matter. I don't care about that. I'm gonna just get something from my graveyard. No more instant stuff. Galvanic Discharge there. Alright, alright. Well, I have the other witness, so it's not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. Yep. I'll just go for the attacks now. They have to block with the Breaker of Creation. Or go back down to 5 and leave this alive. Okay, 6 trample. Okay, this is good now. Oh boy. And let's hope I can get the other witness back. Because of course the witness with... yeah, I should definitely take the witness. Because it with the nesting around is gonna be just an basically infinite amount of stuff returned from the graveyard. That's what it is. So I'll do this. And I will return stuff like the menace guy. Let's do it, because I have mana for it. Then I will move a counter from this guy to here, so they can't even block it. Because it's a 5-4. I mean, they can block, but I won't lose it anymore. And I think I should take an expanding ooze now. And I know I could attack with everything, but at this point I'm not even gonna risk it. I'm not gonna risk them having another instant speed stuff. Just do this. I am at 17 minutes. This is the first game. They are at 20, so now this should be over. Hopefully. They can gain 4 life. Alright. So, what a game. What a game indeed. I guess I should check out the graveyard. So they have the Signature Slam, couple of Galvanic Discharges, Hydra, Breaker of Creation. Well, my counter synergies, and I didn't even have one of these wombats. This would have made me gain so much more counters. Counter synergies did the work. Yeah, I actually start to like the nesting grounds a lot more now, because I haven't played with this card before this draft, and now I can see what it does, and it is worth having slightly worse mana to enable the shenanigans like I just did. Alright, so any reason to play like a Kami of Jealous Thirst? It can block their big things. I don't know if they have like a ton of the big things. Also, they have a Galvanic Discharge that deals with it using only 1 mana. Is there something that's bad? I'm going to play the Accursed Marauder. It's gonna make them sacrifice something relevant. Lion Umbra, I just like it. The Elk is maybe not the most important thing to have around. It didn't seem to have that much of an effect, so I can cut that. Maybe play one of the Kamis now. Not sure how smart that is. I could also go for this, but they had some interaction, so maybe the Fangs of Calonia isn't gonna be the best thing ever. This is fine, I'm gonna play one Kami. I'm on the draw with a nice hand. Again, 3 lands, both colors, 2-drop. Couple of options. I can actually have a turn 3 ooze back if the Nightshade Dryad survives. They do have the lightning thing. They get a permanent out of these, so they get a forest or the repurposer. They take the 3-drop, which I would assume them to take. And here I'm gonna play the Nightshade Dryad, and even if it gets killed, I can play the Expanding Ooze I just drew. Okay, I should be having a good set of plays for many turns going forward. Except for now that they did kill it, if I don't hit my 4th land drop at some point, it can be a little bit awkward. But if I do, I'm gonna be just fine. I guess the ideal case is to draw a forest. I could even, and them to tap out on some nonsense. Then I could go for the adapt and play the Lion Umbra. Okay, well, they have a 6/6. I'm not going to do that. Okay, I got a thing. Yeah, the problem is I don't have the ability to adapt and play the Umbra. The land is definitely a good draw, but I cannot enchant anything now because none of my things are modified. I could play this. I could, yeah, play it with Twisted Landscape, Colorless Mana, and the Swamp, and then I could give it a +1/+1 counter with the Fabricate, and then it would be a 5/6. The problem is 5/6 isn't good enough against a Wumbus Aberration, so think I have to take the damage there. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for this, and if they are gonna attack, I'm not gonna double block. Of course, it would be good for me to trade with the aberration, losing only one of these, but that means they will have interaction, and I would lose both of them, and they lose only one card. Okay, they had another horrific assault. One of them got milled, so this of course is pretty horrible. Yeah, I need to not trade. I'm gonna go to low life total. I just hope to find the forest, which I did, because now I can actually do this thing. Assuming they don't have a response to this. If they do, I'm dead. Okay, they did not, so this is great. This is absolutely fantastic. This also gives vigilance. Alright, this is what I needed to survive. So now I can block the aberration, and the 8/8 will just prevent it from attacking, but even if they have a trick of some kind, the Umbra will fall off. I guess this will only be a 5/5 at that point, but well, let's hope they... I mean, what kind of a red or green thing is gonna deal 8? Well, they have black now. Anyway, let's say they don't have some interaction. Then I can play the Wombat, and this will add that. Okay, yeah, that is... I don't have Trample here, though, sadly, so they have Chump-blockers now. And everything adds mana they have there. But yeah, because the Wombat is, a good card, I picked for a reason. At 2 copies, this will now get, of course, 2 counters when it attacks. So it will be a 10/10. But sadly, they have now the Chump-blockers. This is one of the annoying part about the Eldrazi decks, that of course they can jump block quite a bit if you don't have access to trample. So let's see. They have now, of course, 2 mana up. These can tap for mana. Actually, they have 4 mana. Like they can sack these. But let's see now if this is gonna work. They can't. I'm not gonna adapt the cursed Wombat quite yet, because I want this thing to resolve before any of that happens. It seems like they have more interaction. What is it gonna be? So now I'm gonna get 2 counters. They don't have a good double block. They have a jump block, though. It's no big deal for them. And then the question is, am I going to... play the Marionette Apprentice or have 4 mana for adapting the cursed one? But I feel like they are holding something like a Galvanic Discharge, because I saw 2 of them. But it's not like the Marionette Apprentice is achieving that much. I'm going to pass with mana up, and I will be trying to adapt the cursed one, but I mean, I can actually choose to not do it, though. And this would pick even more double counters, but I guess it being a 10/10 is already quite good. Okay, so something huge is coming up. I hope it's not something that conveniently deals with the ooze. That is gonna make them gain life. But well, I will see now if they have another Galvanic Discharge, because I'm gonna use my mana on this. I guess they will have only 1 mana left. If this works, it's gonna be a 5/6, but 4 mana is too much to with the Bloom instead. Alright. Annoying, but at least the good news is that they actually had to tap this guy, because it was a 2 mana card. So they don't have a good block on this table. Well, I mean, they have a good jump block. Yeah, the jump blockers are really annoying, but this is also gonna be annoying for the opponent to deal with in the longer run. Now, I could double spell, but I think I'm taking the Gargantua. I know it's gonna cost me life to draw the cards, but actually, maybe I will double spell. Let's first not give them any information, because they have no expensive I mean, not expensive, but they have large creatures that can threaten my life total. So it is better maybe to have a wider board. They have one trampler only. This thing doesn't trample. So yeah, bye land and have this, and this will be. I could modify it to allow this thing to, you know, give it counters, but I'm just gonna add counters to the ooze itself, I think. Yeah, this has done attacked so many times, but still they have those O1s, so they're at 19 life here. So they are, yeah, they have multiple of these big Eldrasis, although this is not such a big one. The only question for this thing is, can you get the colorless mana to cast it without giving the opponent advantage? And they have these cheap removal spells, 2 Horrific Assaults, they have a Galvanic Discharge, and they have also the Wither and Bloom splashed from black, so yeah. Strength of the, okay, that's annoying one. 12, 14. Okay. This is how we're gonna do it. So much of the attacks. Well, that also means I need to find something here, so let's just not bother with anything else I need to find. Yeah, this is gonna be bigger the more creatures they have. This can actually become just a huge one. What kind of removal have I? I have the Death Touch and Bite. Fight, I mean. One of my Death Touchers is here. I sideboarded a Death Toucher in. I have the... Okay, well, I mean, they just have it all. I lost my Umbra. Yeah, they got all their interaction. They're still at 5 lands. Now that said, I'm at 6, but I did discard something for the Connive. Man, this 12 14 here. But I need a Death Toucher. That's the first priority. A Death Toucher. Okay, that's one part of the equation. Now I will be drawing some cards, going to 6. I think 1 green mana left will be optimal, so I can play and adapt this if I draw any land. Bridge works battle, not quite good enough, but let's see. I wish I had that Umbra armor now. What is it? It's a Lion Umbra. Okay. I can actually do something wild here. I'm not sure if it's worth it. Assuming they have no instant speed interaction, they have access to 5 mana with all this being tapping, able to tap for mana. I'm gonna play the land. I'm not going to attack with this. I can kill the aberration. I mean, I should. I don't have the Bridge Works battle here because I left that kind of mana up. Sure. Well, I mean, in that case, I'm gonna just do this and hope they don't have an interaction for this. Okay, good. That is good. So now, definitely the opponent is not in a position to attack. And yes, I know I lost this thing, but if I get a Death Touch, I'm just happy to use the fight. I know I lose my thing, but if I get rid of this Tusker, that's just, I mean, then I can just start attacking. I also can draw more cards by attacking with the Expanding Ooze, giving a counter to the Fetid Gargantua. Okay, the opponent is again checking the graveyard. I hope they don't have like a big place all the time here, because I have to deal with a bunch of difficult threats they are presenting. How about the time situation? They have 13, I have 12 and 30 seconds. I need to play faster. This can go to game 3. I don't want to lose to time situation. Another long video apparently because this match is taking forever. Gravedigger. Okay. I guess the 6/6 Trampler isn't the worst that they could have in their deck. And there's the Gift of the Viper now. This is great. This is totally great. I'm going to sacrifice just one of my guys. I'm thinking if I want to sacrifice the Vampire to gain some life in the process, or if I'm just sacrificing the 1/1 here. Oh, time. Time is an issue, but this is not an easy decision here. I guess I can play around the galvanic thing they have, but then I would need to... No, I don't. I won't. I would have to use one of my big things to get rid of this thing. I won't be doing that. Alright, I'm gonna do this. I'm not going to waste too much time in here. I'm gonna gain 6 life if this is gonna work. And if they have a galvanic whatever, then I would hate it. Okay, this is good. And now I can finally do some stuff in here. These guys attack. I'm gonna put a counter on here, draw 2 cards by paying 2 life. Thank you. Alright. Now the 1/6/6 isn't going to even matter. They also don't have colorless production now, so I would actually get to play this for free. Yeah. That's nice. They didn't have, because this doesn't make the things tap for colorless mana, only for any color. Alright, now I am in a pretty good shape. I mean, I'm just winning the game, so let's go. Let's go adapt this and attack with everything but the 1/2. They are not gonna have a lot of life. I should maybe add counter on this. No, I can't add on an unmodified thing. Okay, let's draw cards. I think being at 8 isn't gonna be too risky, so you don't have to draw the cards, but I want to. All my guys that are modified will trample as well, so there's probably nothing that they can do with... Well, they had 3 mana and 2 cards, but yeah. Okay. Okay, on the play. I haven't seen it this earlier. Well, the hand is great because I can get this, play this and get my swamp. Just gonna get it right away. I don't have any big hitters right now, but of course I can draw a number of things. Anything with adapt, for example, will always be good. And I'm still gonna start with this thing. I even have the option to play this apprentice as a 1/2 and then choose to sack it for the Marauder. Rather than this. If I feel that the 1/1 token is gonna matter, maybe not against something that's black and green. Wither and blue, alright. So Evolution Witness. It is the mana efficient thing to do. That said, I have only 1 black source, so I'm not going to double spell on the next turn, no matter what. So I'm actually gonna do it like this. I don't think the 1/1 token is gonna be relevant. Of course, this means this says you have to sacrifice a non-token creature, so you cannot use the token as a fodder for this thing. So because I didn't have a second black, I wanted to play the black spell, and probably I will leave the Witness for turn 5 when assuming I have the 5th land, so I can play and adapt, hopefully while the opponent is tapped out. I don't mind having the Dryad back, it's good with the assault, kills anything, and I'm up against something that's green, so I assume they have a big thing, so having a Death Touch blocker will be useful in that case. Now that said, because I did draw the land, but there's still no use for the Marauder. I kinda assumed I'm going to be able to play the Marauder and get something, but that didn't happen, so rather than, I mean, the options here are do nothing or play this. the other options are of course totally bad ones, so I hope they don't use removal on the witness, because it also becomes a 4/3, you know, that's not a joke. It gets me a card back, but also becomes a reasonable size creature. Here's the adapter. Okay, that is... They can actually kill the witness in response to the adapt ability, and that's something I'm not that happy about. Oh, but I can of course play the Accursed Marauder. Well, that makes it very easy then. What they can do though... Yeah, when I play the Accursed Marauder, they will be killing the Accursed Marauder, sacking 2 of those things, and then sacking the Siege Gang Commander itself to kill the Marauder, and I will still need to sacrifice a non-token creature, and I would have to sacrifice, of course, the Marionette Apprentice. But I think it's okay. I can sack the Apprentice. And maybe they don't realize they have that. Maybe they want to save these things for some actual, you know, mana production. It's also possible. But now I have the weakness up, so this is threatening to become 3 toughness, so they cannot shoot it. Now they have to decide if they want to use the Spoon again, Commander. I can actually get back the Marauder. That's gonna be good enough. Now they have a fodder for it still, but it's gonna be better than the Dryad or the Landscape. So, because I will of course use the Witness. So they did exactly what I thought they might do. And there's nothing I can do to prevent this from happening. So that happens, and then I'm gonna sack this guy. And then I'm gonna attack for a bunch. And it's better to play it safe and get my thing back immediately. And I'm thinking that this is the one to have. Now if I can find any of my ways to add counters to this thing. I don't have like a ton of them, but I have a reasonable number of them. That would get the engine going, of course. So they know about the Marauders. They're not gonna play like a 5 mana big thing. They're gonna go for the broad scale. And my voice is going to... Okay, they're gonna exile my graveyard. I guess it's not the worst thing. Because there wasn't like anything too amazing to get back. Alright, that was a good one. Now... I do want to pressure their life total, so I think I'm gonna go with the assault on this thing, and now this will also trample, so I'd rather play the 4/4 now, just in case they want to jump block. They will still get trampled over, so they of course won't jump block in that case. And now... Yeah, they might make this into a 3/3, but they are still going to sack it on the Marauder. They might get a 0/1, but with my guys having trample, it's not even gonna matter. Okay, more of those things. That's 4 lands. 4 lands indeed. So they are just straight up red, green, and black giant colors. Seems like they have even stuff like Furnace Hellkite, although this color combination might not have that many artifacts. Okay, they are... Okay, so they are kind of a hybrid. They are actually an artifact deck with... I mean, the Cranial Ram isn't gonna do much when they have so few artifacts. Anyway, they can now do this, which is fine. They can do that. I'm going to do this, and I can make the Uzbek into a 6/6 by adapting. They have access to colorless mana only, so I don't think there's anything too crazy happening right now. So this is actually 10 power of trample. They have to jump block here. They go to 1. And I'm at 20 with still something in hand, and of course pretty good threats here. So I think unless they get something crazy good, this game will be over. Yeah, it's not something I expected to see all of a sudden from a deck that has these, Eldrazi things like the Malevolent Rumble. So they have a Furnace Hellkite, the Ram, but when the Ram is gonna give like +1/+1, it's not a good one. And I don't see any artifacts in the graveyard, so we'll see how the next game goes. Does that affect my sideboarding? I don't think I'm gonna play the Kami of Jealous Thirst now, because it didn't seem like it's gonna be full of big Eldrazi necessarily. This might be a problem, but it's a 7 mana thing, and if they don't have a lot of artifacts, the affinity might not help too much. They have, of course, these spawns to help ramp it up, but I think I can outrace it if I have a regular draw. Fangs of Calonia. I haven't yet sideboarded it in, but I just think that the cards in the deck are good enough. I can even use the Trickster's Elk actually as an answer to the Flyer. It loses flying and it's gonna be just a 3/3, so I'm gonna keep the Elk in just in case. Okay, that's a good hand. I think I might start with the Vampire. Maybe they have a slow start and I can get some lifelink damage in. It's also possible that I'm not playing the Apprentice on turn 3 and I will opt to adapt this instead, because this doesn't really achieve much necessarily on turn 3. But if they have like a 2/2, well, they don't, okay. Because if they had like a 2/2, maybe I could have considered playing this as a 2/3. So there's an Accursed Marauder. They're gonna either get that or a land. So, okay. If they took the Marauder, I would have just played this and make a 1/1. And then I can sack the 1/2, but they chose to land instead. So, I think my original plan works. And I get my nesting grounds. That's the value machine. There's also something you should note. This says move a counter from a target permanent you control, so any permanent, onto another target permanent, even the opponent's one. So there is the black-white persist creature, and of course persist comes back from the graveyard with the -1/-1 counter, so you can actually move the -1/-1 counter away from that thing into opponent stuff. All lands, so I guess they get some spawns there. Right. Well, don't exactly know how I'm supposed to play this turn, but I feel like the Apprentice makes sense. Because just adapting doesn't make much sense now. I'm gonna add to the board. I don't think the 1/1 is gonna be needed unless they have another. Well, I don't think I'm gonna be worried about another Marauder. I'm not going to show them the nesting grounds right now. So, do I want to have a Chump blocker or a creature that's modified? I'm actually gonna make a 1/1 here. I don't think this being a 2/3 is gonna matter at all at this point of the game against such a deck. So I'm gonna have like a Chump blocker or something here. Titan's Vanguard is gonna give a counter on all of that. Well, all of a sudden, things are a little bit different now. I would be able to... I need to kill this thing. This will attack and it will even get a counter itself. Okay, things got complicated now that they have this with all these. I mean, the fact they got 3 0-1s here is suddenly pretty relevant when they are gonna keep... They're gonna keep getting counters. And my bridge works battle isn't going to be good enough to kill the Vanguard. Not on this turn. Well, I have to do this, and I think I'm in a bad shape. Because this is gonna be a 6-6 when it attacks. I can take the damage, but they will have a lot of these things. And even if I draw a forest, I won't be able to both adapt this thing and use the battle here. So am I gonna hope that they have nothing here? Because I can't let this thing keep attacking. And this battle is just gonna make me lose the Uzbek anyway. So I'm actually gonna go for this and hope they have nothing, and then I will just lose if they have something, because I'm not going to win it by taking this damage here. So that was fine. For now. They still have a lot of stuff remaining, so... Ah, Crabomination. Okay, now that's a reason to be black. Did they get a good set of cards? No, they get my Uzbek. Annoying, but... I guess this is only a 5-5 going forward, but this is of course a sick card. They didn't get it from my hand though, but I lost my nesting grounds because I was, sandbagging it. Didn't want to show it to them. Alright, well, let's not get too depressed here. I'm just going to... sadly... Well, it's not great. It's not great, but... Because they can make this into a 6-6. Yeah, this Chump-blocker doesn't help anything against the trample. And they can attack with the Crabomination too. I guess I'm gonna Chump-block the Crabomination. And then on my turn I can... If I draw a land, I'm gonna fetch a forest. So any land entering untapped allows me to adapt, and then I can use the Bridgeworks battle to actually finish off the Uzbek. So I'm still in the game for sure, but also remember they have all these cards in their hand. It's not like they are top decking, and the board state is, they have currently a better board state. So if they have a relevant place remaining in their hand, I am gonna be in trouble. That's not the kind of relevant play that is gonna help them win faster. So if I get a little bit luckier than they, but it starts with drawing a land here. If I can't do that, that's bad. Alright, so I know I can kill the Crabomination here. It's just that it's not what I want to do. I want to deal with the 6-6. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get my land, so I'm guaranteed to have the land on the next turn. And I have to take some more damage here. But I guess I can... I have a double block. No, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many creatures I have alive once I get to untap, because they might still have ways to deal with the stuff I have here. Okay, that is actually gonna matter a little bit, but it's definitely not the worst thing they could play. So fine with that. Okay, I'll take 8 now, because... And they actually will attack with the Crabomination, and my question is, am I gonna double block it with the Witness and the Vampire, and I think the answer is it has to be the case. I'm not taking 12 here. I lose both of these because I need the ooze back to deal with this guy. I get some life back. I hope they don't have a graveyard recursion on the Crabomination. That would be very, very horrible news for me. But I am in the game. And now a lot depends on this. That wasn't the worst draw. If this is gonna work or not. Sadly I cannot attack here, because they have the Death Toucher. But let's first see if this is actually gonna work. And it is. Alright. Of course I can't attack this into the 2-3 because this is a fight, not a bite, so of course this would die to any damage now. But they can attack with the Night Sated Dryad, which is okay. They can equip. I take basically 2+1, go to 7. But they didn't have anything yet. They have a repurposer there. Yeah, it starts to now kinda so that the fact they got the counters on these things from the Vanguard, that it's actually super relevant now. They have a white board and they get to refill a little bit. That is not great. They get to refill even more by sacking one of these two. At least they have to sack an actual creature or the Dross Claw, because this also allows sacrificing artifacts as well. Now I cannot really attack because if they block with the Dryad, yeah, I need my blockers here, so let's do this. I can have the Viper up. Just gonna adapt it right away. I'm gonna need help from my deck for sure. It's not great that they have this inside, because they are not gonna run out of gas. For now, I would need to top deck like crazy, and they would need to hit some very insignificant things in their hand, in their deck I mean. There's the Hellkite, but this thing gives a reach counter, so it's actually, I'm still in the game. Although they can pump this, so I'm still gonna lose my guy, which is not so great. Gargantua. Oh. Well. Let's play the Gargantua. And let's attack with something, shall I? Yeah, I guess I can attack with the ooze back. No, it's the Death Toucher really makes it work. I mean, I would like to raise here with my big things, but it's just that they block with these, and then I need to still keep my blockers here. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna draw 2 cards for sure, and then I'm gonna trade with the Hellkite. With the pump ability, it doesn't help. Even if I make this into a 7/7, they can just finish it off regardless. This way I at least get to draw 2 cards. Not the best cards in the world, but that's okay. They have a witness too. Yeah, I mean, it's just because I am not in a position to attack, and they get to do their 2-for-1s here. It's gonna. I don't know what it requires from me to be able to win. Of course, the Crabomination is just super horrible. There's basically nothing I can do here, because attacks are bad thanks to the Dryad. The one Dryad here actually prevents me from kind of even trying to win before they get to do their stuff. I'm gonna see what they get here. They of course get a land from me. What is the graveyard thing? Land. They got a... Was that the Vampire there? Okay. They didn't get anything too great there, but of course look at their board. They can just attack with everything very soon. and then I will lose. Not that many lands left in the deck. Only one forest and that's it. Is that the case? Yeah, there's 4 lands in there and some lands in here. Okay, the witness is one of the things that still allows me to maybe have a chance, but it doesn't really feel like it because they just have all these cards there. Anyway, let's do this, not waste any time here. I'm going to get this thing. I can actually attack with the ooze, maybe. No, I cannot actually do that. Unless there's something here. I don't even know if I can afford to. Well, I'm not attacking because I would need to make it into a 5-5. Otherwise they eat it with the Crabomination. But do I have to get the thing that gives me a token to block with? This is gonna have a death menace. I really wanted to have another witness, but I don't have mana to activate it, sadly. I have only 4 lands here, so I need 5 to play and adapt. So taking 3 here, maybe 4 if they equip. Block, block, block. Yeah, I'm actually dead here. So I need this, but it's just kind of not helping because this is not the card that allows me to climb back to the game. I can get a 1-1 to have an additional blocker here, but of course the opponent just they got ahead with double Crabomination. Of course it's not that hard even if the second one didn't hit anything too amazing, but the fact this thing has menace will matter because my life total is so low. Yeah. I think we can just go to next game. There's no way I can maybe the opponent doesn't play optimally and they don't go for the win or something, but there's just no combination of draws that allows me to get back here. I just don't want to waste any time here. Do I need something like the Fangs of Calonia? This can really double a lot of, because this is so good with the adapt things I have, but I'm not sure if this is the kind of, I mean, imagine if this board state I could play it. Should I try it? Should I give it a chance? It's the last game in the event. So what is the absolute worst card? How about the Marauder? Yeah, the thing is, there's no non-token creature that I don't mind them sacking, so it is a good one. What else? Maybe the vampires are not that needed. Maybe the Marionette Apprentice isn't the greatest in this matchup. Okay, I'm actually gonna do it like that. I'll play the Fangs of Calonia just to play that card once in the event. I think it can be a very good 6 mana play, of course. Maybe I need that kind of stuff to win in any game that drags a little bit longer. At least I'll be on the play, hopefully with a good hand. I haven't had too many of these cursed wombats in here. I have 2 of them in the deck, but this is a great hand if I draw the 3rd land in. It doesn't have to be by turn 3 because I can play 2 2-drops, even use the Gift of the Viper. But definitely soon enough I need my 3rd land, and there it is. This is actually fantastic. Now remember, the Gift of the Viper gives 2 +1/+1 counters when this is on the battlefield. I'm gonna just go for the ooze most likely here. Okay, do they get their green mana also fixed? They kill this thing. Okay. I can get it back maybe. Okay. I can also draw the second copy. Alright. This is great stuff. Now I guess if I can get my swamp to make my casting of spells a little easier, that would be better. I won't be... Okay, this actually doesn't fetch a forest. I'll be playing the wombat now, rather than... Because they might still have a removal on the ooze, and I don't want to waste my turn adapting and then doing nothing. I know there's the gift of the Viper, but it's also nice to have it now. If they have removal, they will go for it, and I can respond with the gift. This was safer way to go about. And now the next turn I can do this, and of course this is just insane with the Wombat being around. Okay, they drew the forest, but they need something good. I am now the player who is definitely having the upper hand. Repurposer is not the most dangerous thing. Okay, I can do it pretty safely because of the gift of the Viper. That's now 5/5, and this is not modified yet, so I'm just gonna attack with this, and it's going to pick up only one counter because this ability given by the Wombat only happens once per turn per creature, and it already benefited it from it once. But you know, it being a 6/6 is pretty acceptable. So I didn't get the additional lands yet, but of course I have so many things I can play here that it's not really that big of a deal. They do have the Spawn Gang Commander though, giving them a ton of jump blocks, of course. That's not the worst thing to have, because it will tap for mana or force them to. Yeah, this. Imagine if I had my trample giving thing. This doesn't give trample. They would be just dead to this one. But this is all fine still. They might go for the Spawn Gang Commander, but note they don't have any other colorless production other than the Eldrazi spawns themselves, so they have to kind of sack them for just mana production if they want to go for this activation. And if they do go for the activation, I think I will go for the gift of the Viper, then they would have to respond with another. Oh, there is a colorless mana. Well, that's not so great, but let's see what they end up doing here. Gargantua. Okay, well, they get their cards from that thing here. And they use the colorless mana for that. Okay, that's because they wanted to just play also that thing. And now, of course, the Dryad makes it so that my attack with the ooze won't be that great. That was a good draw. I can elk the Dryad, of course. That is something I can be doing. Then it won't have death touch. That's bestow cost is 2. So I guess I do want to keep attacking, so I guess I'm gonna bestow this thing. But the thing is that I guess I'll play my vampire. Because that with the Dryad I can still have, you know, the this jump blocking is so annoying, but I guess every jump block means that they have fewer things for this thing to shoot away. But yeah, I can play the vampire, and that still allows me to have the gift of the Viper up. I could have tapped the Dryad itself, you know, and leave a forest up, but I don't want to telegraph it that badly. So Glimpse is gonna give them burn spells, lands inside. Definitely a good set of stuff to have. This, by the way, doesn't tap for mana either, but they have the land, so they can actually. This was a 3-for-1. They can cast all of that. All of that right now. Okay, it's gonna get 2 counters, so let's go for it. It is actually this is forcing them to use the Spawn Gang Commander, but if they use the Spawn Gang Commander, then they don't have the ability to use the insight, and it actually will be permanently left in exile, which means they don't even get the flashback advantage from it either. So this is not the worst thing to happen. And they are gonna run out of Chump-blockers at some point. Well, this will be exiled now, but it is what it is. I can have the other one that's in my graveyard still with the witness back. Alright, this makes them sacrifice a non-token creature. It could be the Dryad. That would give me the Elk back. And it of course can be the Repurposer as well. So let's see. They have only 1 mana, so they don't have this thing up right now. This will be a 10-10. So how they can block with 3, 3, 2. 8 is not enough. They can block with 3, 4 and 2. 9 is not enough. They need 10 damage. And if I make this 11, they actually need to have the Gargantua involved in the block too. I do think they're just gonna jump with this thing. If they have... And they're gonna get another jump blocker from this thing. That's annoying for sure. I think I'm gonna go for this anyway. They don't know about the Marauder, so I let them block with the stuff first, and then I'm gonna play the Marauder post-combat. So I can actually go and I can actually even attack with the Dryad, because I don't mind trading with any of them. Let's just do that. I kind of want that they have only the Gargantua left when all is said and done. Then my Accursed Marauder will be good. This is gonna get the counter, so it's, you know, doesn't get eaten by the... Well, I guess it had Menace anyway, but now it's still better that way. They have to put a lot of things to stop the ooze, so... Okay, that's what I assumed would happen. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one of these I'm gonna kill, because the other one will be sacked. Anyway, but actually it matters. I want my Elk back, so yeah, let's kill the Dryad. Kill the Dryad here, and I get my Elk, and then I can make them sacrifice the Repurposer or the Commander, whichever it is. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is what this thing says. Why is it showing in there? They can't use it because this wasn't it? No, did they discard it at some? I don't actually know why this is. It's not in exile, so it's in the graveyard. I have missed something at some point. Anyway, I guess they have this thing in their graveyard. Yeah, it's in the graveyard, not in their exile. I thought it was in exile, but that was me just not following what happens in the game. So, yeah, I still have the Witness, which can bring back stuff from there, unless they have the thing that exiles my graveyard. I think they had... Was it this opponent? I think this opponent had the graveyard exiling thing. Okay, Gift of the Viper is good. Well, I think I should pre-combat something here. Because they might jump and kill the Dryad. So I'm gonna play the Witness. Because now I can respond by adapting it. So let's go. This is their last jump block. Can this actually deal some damage at some point? They might also, by the way, jump block and then go for the insight. Okay, they go and kill that thing, which is... I'm not gonna save it with the Gift of the Viper, that's not necessary. And then I will just... before they get to untap and draw new stuff. And also they can still sack this to throw this, but they lack the colorless mana. So let's try this right now. Hope they don't have an instant to interfere, but they immediately went for something. Yeah, okay. Fine, opponent. Well, it's all about the ooze now. If they deal with the ooze, I'm gonna be in trouble. They get more cards here, of course. It will go to 6, but let's see now if they're gonna get another one of these spawns. If they do, I truly hope I'm getting one of my trample givers. I think I have 2 of the 4/4. That makes my modified creatures trample. If I had that in this game, they would have lost, or at least had to play very differently. Okay, there's one other jump blocker, and they have a Titan's Vanguard there. Yeah, this is the fact they had the. Yeah, I was about to get this back, which would have helped me. But it's just, it is what it is, you know. They have all jump blockers all the time. But if I get one of the 4/4 that give this thing trample, I can also give it death touch and it would be winning. Yeah, I'm gonna get into trouble if they have like the Crabomination coming up anytime soon. Alright. Well, let's start with... They don't have mana to throw away this thing. They can throw away... Yeah, well, I mean, they just have the darn jump block there. This is super annoying. That this is like, how many attacks have I had with this? And they have always had an 0-1 to block with. Always an 0-1 to block with, but oh well. I really want to have the Viper up, but of course if I draw something good, I'm gonna discard the plant instead of the spell. So. Okay. I'm assuming they have new 0-1s entering the battlefield every turn, and I will never get to connect with this unless I get the trample. And they might just get the kill spell on it. Well, there's the Crabomination, so... Who's gonna... I mean, they're gonna get a random card from my graveyard. From my hand. I'm gonna lose this anyway. This is always gonna go to exile, whether they choose it or not, so I'm gonna use it now. They get the top... exile stop card of my library. Okay. So who's gonna get the counter? I don't think it's gonna be the ooze. Seems unnecessary. So. But the 7/7 is gonna be okay. Fine. Let's make this guy have a death touch, because death touch and menace is really good. Now the only thing to give this thing death touch is that if I happen to draw my 4/4. But let's see what they. Okay. Bridge words. Okay, they actually don't have a death toucher, so they don't have a good... It's either... It's the Wombat, is it? Okay, no, the Wombat is exiled from other... Anyway, they took the Dryad, which is of course good, because it blocks this 12/12. Now, is this the first turn they don't have a jump blocker, and they have a death toucher instead? I mean, this game is just impossible. They have again 10 cards left in the deck, but I have nothing here. The Crabomination is so annoying. I have no good attack because this thing only can be double blocked. This, yeah. Well, I mean, let's just whatever. I think I'm now super behind in this game. The opponent never run out of cards. They have always had the interaction and the jump blockers for this thing. And I don't have the good engine stuff here now. But the Crabomination again, just so much value from one card. It was enough for them to have the Death Toucher here. Okay, that's dead. And now they can, if they want to, they can even draw more cards from the Gargantua, but... Okay, well, this is the beginning of the end now. I mean, of course, when they have all these cards remaining, how can I win? The only thing holding the fort is this ooze, and once it dies, game is over. And they can get this thing back. Yeah. Okay, that's it. They can cast it, and that's it. Oh, what a frustrating game 2 and 3 here. But it doesn't help if you have a 10-10 guy when they keep having 0-1s. I had 2 of them trample giving guys. Having access to those would have just, I mean, I'm pretty sure I would have won the game because they blocked like dozens of damage during that game. Dozens of damage was jump blocked by O1s. I needed one of these. Didn't get my removal there either. Oh well, it was still like an actual match where both of us drew lands and spells and such, but it was still so frustrating when they didn't have any. They didn't run out of the O1s there. 2-1 is a good result, but I think this deck was really good. It has so much synergy, had good mana curve, good mana base, had some removal of good creatures. There was a chance for this deck to go to 3 wins, but of course, opponents can have good decks too, and it's never a guarantee to get 3 wins. Anyway, that was for this video. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.